Hi guys, sitting here in my box, just doing some reading. It's nice and comfortable in the box. I can sit here all day, right here in my box, just nothing else to do, just sitting in my box. You know, it's familiar and it's comforting to be in my box. Nobody can hurt me in my box. Nothing strange happens because I'm in my box. Sometimes we just need to get out of the box, especially if we're going to be productive. If we're going to get anything done, can't just sit in a box all the time, right? You know, Jesus was master of out of the box. From the very first minute when he arrived, it was different. This was a king who didn't sleep in a fancy bed. He slept in a manger. He didn't live in a castle or a palace. He lived in a carpenter's house. He walked around and taught. He didn't dress all fancy and teach from the temple steps all the time like fancy teachers. Right up to his death, this is a king who didn't die in glorious battle with a sword and a shield and armor. This is a king who died sacrificially, died a criminal's death on a cross. The victory wasn't that temporary battle, though. The victory was a final victory that he won for you and for me over sin and death. How amazing is that? God is so good, isn't he? But Jesus' ministry was outside the box. He didn't do things the way that they expected Messiah to do things. And similarly, we should not have our worship of this out-of-the-box Messiah in a box. You know, when we limit our worship to the box of Sunday morning in church, or those limited times when we actually have quiet time with him, we're not worshiping the way that God desires for us to worship, the way that he instructed us to worship in everything that we do. Our lives are supposed to be lives of worship. We're supposed to be living sacrifices because God made a way for us to have fellowship with him. He gave us his righteousness. It says that he made him, Jesus, who knew no sin, to be sin on our behalf so that we would become the righteousness of God in him. How do we become righteous? In Jesus. And our worship of him should be something that we remember all of the time. It should be something that we do all of the time. Not just on Sunday morning, not just when we remember, or not just right before we eat, we may say thank you. So our worship should be different. Just like this video. This doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have the fancy high production value. It's just a reminder that we don't always have to do things the same way. When our prayer life becomes stale and we find ourselves just saying the same words and going through the motions, we need to remind ourselves that prayer is talking to God. When we sing songs and we're not even thinking about the words, we need to remind ourselves that these are songs that are worship for God, not for us. I hope that you're spending time in God's Word. As always, I hope that your prayer life is new and vibrant this week. I love you all. I'm praying for you, and we'll see you soon.